You're Andrew, right?
Yes, I am.
I thought I was expecting Matt, but that's okay.
Yeah, Matt is he's unfortunately feeling a little under the weather right now, so
Okay,
I'm gonna step in his place if that's all right.
no problem. I'm just going to turn up my volume here so I can hear better.
For sure.
Okay, no problem. I'll just have to change your questions a little
Ah, that's all good.
as far as that goes. Well, nice to see you again. I actually first met you several years ago on the Drown in Pool Gemini Syndrome tour as
Oh,
Red
awesome.
Tide
Yeah.
Rising. I actually interviewed Matt that night. So going along with that, tell me a little bit about the name change to Anti-Saint.
Yeah, the pandemic happened and everything kind of shut down, and it gave us a moment to kind of reflect and just kind of look at the band and how it was and all that. And we just kind of decided, maybe a name change is due. We had started Red Tide Rising back in high school, so we didn't really, know what to do for a name. And this just felt more like to our identity and to what we wanted to do. So it just seemed like the perfect time to kind of just start new, change the name up, and luckily we had that a record ready to be released. We didn't release it yet, so we're like, let's just change the name and then put out the record and start fresh.
It's funny. I was talking to Dave Tedder today, and we were talking about how you guys were in high school. He was telling me a story about when Matt was, I think he was 16 on with the In This Moment tour, and he couldn't start school on time. He was telling me that story that had to call the principal, say he'll be a couple weeks late.
Yeah, no, that was like right at the beginning of his senior year of high school, and yeah, I think he ended up being about a month late into into starting the semester, and
Get
he
better
ended up
reason though,
graduating
right?
early too. Yeah, I was like, that's awesome, man. Like, luckily we had a super cool principal that was, he understood, and he was like, yeah, go follow your passion, go do what you want. Like, why are we going to hold you up?
Yeah, and obviously music's getting them further now than probably high school did. So.
Oh yeah, way further.
No, who currently makes up Anti-Saint?
Officially, it is Matthew and I right now. We have a couple guys filling in on bass and drums and kind of feeling out if they're going to be permanent or not. But right now, it's officially Matthew and I.
Okay. Now, the music's definitely heavier, so than it was when you were Red Tide Rising. I can definitely see the personal growth. It's definitely evident in the music. Now, the new album entitled Vaticinate. I have to look at the word to say it right.
Yep.
Now, for those that don't realize, it means to foretell the future, to be a prophet, to prophesy. Can you just elaborate a little on how that's fitting along with the message that you have from your music?
Yeah. When we wrote it back in 2017, 2018, and then finally finished recording it in 2019, and then obviously pandemic happened in 2020, and it seems a little more relevant now than maybe when we wrote it. We were kind of like we like kind of the George Orwell, Big Brother 1984 kind of realm to write in. There's some things that we kind of observed in America that kind of seemed like, we're going down that path, like everybody jokes. And so that was mainly what the record is based off of. And it just kind of seems like, a lot of it is becoming more and more true very quickly. So that's kind of where the title comes from. And we kind of separated it into 3 chapters originally, so that there's different levels of intensity per chapter, and each one's kind of going into a more specific, I guess, topic within the dystopian future kind of stuff. But it was fun to write and fun to reflect on, and definitely explore a heavier realm for us than what we had previously done.
Right. And so it's 16 songs, but like you said, it's spread across 3 EPs. And were there so many songs because of the pandemic? Did you guys just find you were sitting home, so let's keep writing, or was this kind of in advance?
We had written it all before the pandemic happened. And what our initial intention for it was going to be was we wanted to have everything recorded and separate them as 3 EPs, and basically put out an EP, tour it, basically just play that EP for, assuming we have like 30-minute slots, and then 6 months later put out the next EP, and then do another tour where, if we were hitting the same markets, if people came back to see us, it would be a different show. So we wanted to do that with the three of them. And then obviously by the time, things started rolling, everything got shut down, and we were just like, well, it's been long enough that, this plan's probably not going to go in place. So let's just release it all. And we just decided to make two versions of it, the single 1-disc version, regular, and then the deluxe where we used all the artwork that we had made up for the 3 EPs and still made it feel really special.
That's what's really cool about the 3 separate EPs. It's holographic discs, from what I understand. And like you said, it comes with the extra artwork. I actually ordered mine this week. You emailed me the other night about the shirt.
I did. I shipped it out today, so hopefully that gets to you in a couple of days here.
Great.
And we're about 2 weeks on the shirts, because we had a show Saturday at the Lincoln, and it went very well, where I ended up selling out of shirts before we could update Square's inventory. So
yeah, I heard it. That went really well. I watched the video, and people really seemed to be into it. It was a great crowd response. Oh
yeah, it was so needed, because it had been, for Matthew and I, our last show, which was As Red Tide Rising, was December 7th of 2019. So we're coming up on 2.5 years, almost 3 years of not playing a show, him and I together. So it was quite amazing. We we went really hard on stage, and the crowd was excellent. So,
and the crowd's just happy to be out to hear live music again too. I mean, it's still not the same here, but it's getting better, slowly.
Yeah, and it's the Lincoln in Cheyenne is a beautiful venue. Opening up for Puddle of Mud was awesome. Had a great crowd out. Everybody was stoked on it. So it's encouraging to see that live music is coming back and being a little bit more consistent now.
Right. I mean, that's my life. That's my sanity. I was counting in the next 6 weeks. I think I have like 10 concerts to go. So,
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I said that's what keeps me going. Now, back to the album. What made you decide to cover Mad World?
We had covered it when we were Red Tide, and it was just a way to kind of connect with an audience that wasn't familiar with us, because I'd say most people know that song, whether it's through Tears for Fears or the Michael Jules version. And so it just instantly gives something to connect with fans and bond over. So we decided to include it again in this one, just as kind of like a, something for people to latch onto if they're maybe, hesitant on what to listen to first. Like, that kind of gives you a good feel of the style that we're going for, while also not deviating too far, making it like, a super weird cover of it.
Right. It is kind of good and fitting, because the music's a little darker. So, Mad World, and it's very fitting for the whole, like you said, the whole theme of the album.
Yeah.
Now, I know Matt's behind the creation of the artwork, and the bio says it represents the psychological aspect of being creative individual in a world full of chaos and uncertainty. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? I mean, I know he created it, so I don't know if you can speak for him too much, but on how that relates.
It's that's a tough one to answer, because I don't really know how his brain works on that front. The actual album artwork itself was made by a guy named Nathan Price. Matthew did all the artwork for the booklet that's included, and it's a bunch of, it's like 3D renders that he made based off of Nathan's art. And you'll especially see in the deluxe version when you get the individual covers, that they're based off of that, and they're really dark and really just kind of self-reflective. He made them during the pandemic, so it was definitely a time when there was a lot of uncertainty, and what's going on, is music going to come back? If it comes back, are we still going to pursue it? Just asking ourselves those questions. So they're very dark in nature, and they're very Chapter 3 though is very inspirational. It's kind of like a Vitruvian man, kind of like breaking out, and I think that's kind of like where we ended up wanting to go, is like, once this opens up, we just want to break out and get back into it and go full swing and maybe hit it harder than we ever have before.
Okay. And interestingly, my friend is writing a book kind of along this same theme, and Sunday she actually interviewed me about, as far as what I see as musicians and their creativity, and being a writer myself. And I actually referred her to your website and the music because I thought she'd find the lyrics enlightening. Mm-hmm. And because we discussed how negativity, which I find is more prevalent now since COVID even, can affect, and how can it affect us and our attitude towards our artistic abilities. What challenges have you faced regarding this? Maybe, people being negative about the music you guys are putting out.
I don't know that I haven't experienced any negativity towards our music specifically yet. But I've definitely, I'm sure it's coming, but, there was a lot of times during it that we were pretty negative just about it in general. Just questioning, at least for myself, I would question sometimes, do I want to do this? Do I want to play music and go through all the hurdles that takes to play live music, and the stress and, writing, recording, just putting all that on there. And then also just the state of the world, and some days seeing like, thinking that it's not going to come back just because that's how it seemed, and that, life is going to have to pivot this way. And am I happy about that? So there were definitely some, some pretty rough days, some rough months, honestly. But now with it coming back and going into, I work at a venue as front of house, so there's more shows coming in that I'm getting to work, and there's more opportunities for, tours to happen, and things are slowly opening back up. So it's very relieving to see that it's kind of like you got through the tough of it. Hopefully it's, worth the wait, and everybody's more jazzed about stuff, opening back up. And that's how it seemed on Saturday, at least.
Yeah, that was a good send off again for you guys.
Yeah.
It's true though. I think about every few months go through, do I want to do this anymore? Do I want to be involved in music? Something gets, you're going, but I always find myself going back to it.
Yeah. It's hard to escape because it's so much fun, and, we do it for a reason.
Right. Now, going back to the show on Saturday, I heard that through the grapevine that you had a last minute drummer that night.
We did. Yeah. Our normal drummer, he had a personal obligation come up, so he wasn't able to make the show. So, we found this guy in town named Chris Wallace, and he had 10 days to learn the set, and he absolutely crushed it. So, so stoked that he was able to step up for us and really made the night special.
Oh, that's great. And what does ANTISAINT have coming up in the near future as far as tours?
Right now, it's nothing that I can officially say. We should hopefully have something at the end of the year. But until I get like a firm confirmation, I'm not going to divulge that, I guess. But we are planning on hitting the road, hopefully the end of the year, for sure next year.
Great. Hope you come through New England, because I'd love to see you guys again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And do you have anything going on as far as writing? Are you continuously writing, or?
I am continuously writing. There's always stuff that I'm working on. We don't have any plans yet to go into the studio, just because, ANTISAINT is technically a year old, but we haven't had the opportunity to tour it and promote it the right way. So we're going to give that a little bit of time, but there's definitely a lot in the pipeline.
Great. Yeah, with ANTISAINT, I called Dave Tedder. Well, he called me, and I said, am I correct in saying this album's a year old, but it's kind of new? He's like, yes, you're not missing anything. I said, okay, I just wanted to make sure that I was correct on that. Because I guess it kind of was released, but nothing was happening during that time, like you said. So.
Yeah. It was one of those things where we were just like, that was a hard part about the pandemic too, is we had the record ready and we wanted to release it and for people to, experience some new music from us, and we just couldn't do it. And then eventually we're just like, screw it. Let's just put it out so that there's the weight off of our chest of it being gone. And then Saturday's show was the 1-year anniversary of it. So that kind of worked out perfectly, where we just kind of celebrated.
And you want to get some of those songs
officially
out.
Go time.
Yeah, and you want to get some of those songs out there so people are familiar and keep the name out there, and building the excitement. Because like you said, all of a sudden there's a tour, and if you didn't have anything out, people wouldn't know what to expect.
Yeah, it's like we need to have, physical copies there, music out, so that people can maybe pre-listen before the show and get excited. And it's just always great to have music out. So
right. Well, it's been great catching up with you, Andrew. And like I said, I hope you guys come through New England. Last time I saw you at the Palace Theater in Connecticut is where it was.
Nice. Yeah.
That was
cool.
Little
A very
venue.
cold show.
Yeah.
The whole tour was cold.
So definitely hope to see you again. I'm sure you guys will be in the area at some point. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Congrats on the album, even though, like you said, it's not quite new, but it is. Congrats.
Well, thank you so much, Nina.
You're welcome. And I look forward to see what's going on in the future.
Absolutely. Take care. Be well.
Okay. You too. Bye.